Nike banned the Caitlin Clark shoes, but why exactly? Over the years, Nike has been losing their money as they are worth $100 billion less than they were in 2021, and people were calling for their CEO to be fired. And Adidas has been doing good since then, despite canceling their deal with Yeezys. Over decades, Nike's swoosh has stamped itself on the greatest moments in sports history, from Michael Jordan's iconic dunks to Serena Williams' dominant serves. So when Nike partnered with rising WNBA star Caitlin Clark, the move seemed destined to add another chapter to their storied legacy. Caitlin Clark, hailing from West Des Moines, Iowa, had dominated college basketball at the University of Iowa, where she averaged 27.8 points, 8.6 assists, and 7.1 rebounds per game during her junior year. She was named Iowa Gatorade Player of the Year and repeated as a Class 5A, All-State First-Team selection by the IPSWA. As a senior, Clark averaged 33.4 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2.7 steals per game, leading the state in scoring for a second time. Her team finished with a 19-4 record and reached the Class 5A regional final, where they were upset by Sioux City East High School. Clark finished her career with the 4th most points and the 6th most three-pointers in Iowa's 5-on-5 history. She was awarded Iowa Gatorade Player of the Year, Des Moines Register, All-Iowa Athlete of the Year, and Iowa Miss Basketball, while making the IPSWA Class 5 a All-State First Team. Clark was selected to compete in the McDonald's All-American Game and the Jordan Brand Classic, 2 prestigious high school all-star games, but both games were canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In her first 2 years at Dowling, Clark was a starter on the school's varsity soccer team, but focused on basketball for her final 2 years. In her freshman season, she scored 23 goals and was named to the Class 3A All-Iowa team by the Des Moines Register. Clark was recruited by NCAA Division I basketball programs before starting high school, receiving her first letter of interest from Missouri State before 7th grade. Her long-range shooting drew comparisons to Steph Curry, and her swagger on the court was magnetic. USA Today stated that she, like Curry, has redefined what a good shot is in basketball. The Wall Street Journal columnist Jason Gay wrote in 2024, "Clark is far from the first great shooter in women's basketball, but she's the one who is changing the dimensionality of the game because of the distance she can shoot from and how well she can pass." Clark is credited with popularizing women's basketball since her college career at Iowa, a phenomenon known as the Caitlin Clark effect. When Caitlin declared for the WNBA draft in 2023, she was the talk of the town. Nike saw an opportunity to capitalize on her rising star power. I mean, why wouldn't they? She signed an 8-year deal for $28 million with Nike this year. Talk about how Caitlin Clark was becoming more popular than even NBA players and even Angel Reese of the NBA. Despite winning WNBA Rookie of the Year, Nike still hasn't dropped her shoe since then. But instead, they are planning to release AJ Wilson's shoe in the year 2025 because she just won MVP of the season. So, why didn't they release the Caitlin Clark shoes? Well, the official reason from Nike is obviously a LIE, to say the least. Many shoe companies went after her right after she blew up. Brands like Under Armour said she'd be the face of the Curry brand. Adidas went after her too. However, she stayed with Nike because of how they marketed her in college. So, Nike didn't release Caitlin's signature shoes, but confirmed A'ja Wilson's shoe years ahead instead? Something is definitely off about all this. What did Nike have to say about this? The process is a delicate craft that requires input from Clark and the Nike team, not to mention manufacturing millions of pairs and the marketing campaign. Oh really? That's what they had to say? Sure, let's just act like we believe this statement. Many famous players had their shoes made way before their actual contracts. Players like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and more were on Nike's crosshairs, the iconic LeBron ones, during his debut. Who's forgetting that? So how come a company this active just happens to be this unproductive all of a sudden? All for this one signature shoe? Caitlin is out there breaking records and doesn't even have her own signature shoes? Or even a Nike commercial? So let's track this back from the start. When Caitlin signed her $28 million deal with Nike, there was a lot of backlash on social media. In fact, in the Deseret News article, they said, while Caitlyn getting her own shoes an exciting moment for women's basketball, reporting on the deal has resulted in some backlash on social media. The problem some fans have with the deal is that the only WNBA players with a signature shoe are white. Some argue that the Las Vegas Aces' Aja Wilson should have gotten her own shoe before Clark, who hadn't even played a WNBA game yet. So it's not about any performance issue. It's about the whole thing being not fair and racist. Huh? That's rich. Nike being concerned about what's fair or what's racially inappropriate in terms of making signature shoes. Remember back when Nike made signature shoes for Tim Duncan, which ended up being a flop. In fact, they tried the Duncan shoes twice and canceled them due to bad sales. That didn't upset Duncan. But what if it was AJ Wilson in Duncan's place? Now let's talk about Aja Wilson, who's an amazing basketball player of this generation. She is a significant figure for Nike as both an elite athlete and a role model. Nike has collaborated with her to create a signature shoe, the A1, set for release in 2025. This makes her the first black WNBA player since 2010 to have a signature shoe, reflecting both her basketball excellence and cultural impact. She's one of their high-profile players, but she could also be on one of those "it's very racist" things. You know what I mean, right? Maybe this clip might help you understand things better. Just look at how Aja is trying to school teammate Kelsey Plum about how another white WNBA player, Paige Buckers, is successful due to privileges.
Paige Buckers!
Us as black women, Paige reminds me a lot of you. Like, you say you're not really about me. And she knows how her privilege has gotten her to that point. And also, like, she's good at basketball, obviously. But, like, she understands her privilege and, like, what pushes her over the top, in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. And I mean, that's...
Really? Is she only a great player because of her white privileges? That's just bullshit if you ask me. But if that's what Aja thinks, then Nike won't try to piss off their top female athlete. Imagine all the backlash around the WNBA when Caitlin Clark got into the league. And how will Nike handle this situation? They have to keep all these people happy by suppressing their biggest potential billion-dollar female athlete.
You want to stand for something greater?
Isn't that just great? Even the coach of Team USA got involved in this dispute. The WNBA tweeted before the first preseason game of the year and put Caitlin up front in the tweet. But the Lynx and USA coach responded with a hashtag saying, "The W is more than one player." People responded, "Pretty disappointing to see a WNBA and Olympic coach use that hashtag. I thought you were all about lifting others up and being a positive voice in women's basketball." And no surprise Caitlin was left off the Team USA roster. What's the reasoning for this? They said she just wasn't ready yet. Oh. It wasn't jealousy then, it was a basketball decision. Then Caitlin proceeds to be first team All-WNBA as a rookie. She led all rookies in points, field goals made, assists, steals, and minutes. She also led all players in assists and three-pointers made. She was fourth in MVP vote. Her games got over 1 million views on TV, while the average game is 300K. At the 2024 NCAA tournament, Clark's final 3 games, each broke the women's college basketball viewership record, culminating with 18.9 million viewers for the national championship game. It was the most viewed basketball game at any level since 2019 and the first women's NCAA tournament final to draw more viewers than the men's final. As a bonus, the Washington Mystics recently hosted Caitlin's team, the Indiana Fever, so you understand how good of a player she really is. Team USA had to admit their mistake by saying she should have been selected. That's all good. But what about Nike? They're refusing to give Caitlin her very own signature shoes just because they're afraid of the hate or backlash they might receive on social media. That's just a very spineless move from Nike. It's very obvious why the CEO had to step down, when or if they'll ever release her signature shoes. That's a topic we'll get around again somewhere in the future. What are your thoughts on Nike's controversial decision? Let us know in the comments below. To stay updated for more NBA content, stay tuned with NBA Buzz and see you on the next one.